Hey guys, I want to show you a quick tip to manually clean up your triggers for drums. I have a session here where I want to add a kick that sound that's going to be a bit more plicky than the one that I have. Now, I was given a stereo track of the drums, so it's a bit difficult with trigger, even though slate trigger is great, to trigger just a kick drum. Let me show you what I have here. So as you can see on top, I have my drum track here. It's a drum kit, so let me play it for you. So it's great. I just want, for the sake of argument here, to add a very plicky kick sound. So here I have my trigger track below it, so I dragged down the same audio. So I use slate trigger with all my plicky drums. So if I play you the slate trigger, you can see that when I raise my volume here, my sensitivity, right, everything gets triggered because, as you can see, the level of the loudness on my track of the snare and kick are very similar. So it's pretty hard to make a difference. So here's a kind of a quick trick here that you can use. You can use the function called separate at transients, right? So if you go to the edit menu, separate clip, not on grid but at transients. This is going to help me visually see every hit and separate them. Now the other trick here for selecting what we don't want to use. So here I don't want to have the snares or the hi-hat or the toms to trigger my kick drum. I'm going to use the object mode of the selector here, right? The grabber. So there are three modes in Pro Tools: the time grabber, the separation, and the object. Most of the time, you actually use the time grabber. But in this case, using the object grabber is going to help me using the shift key to select the snares that I want to remove on my trigger track. But here's another trick that's kind of, I think, useful. Two other things. First, I want to separate my selection from my timeline playback. So here you see when I select something, my playback is starting and is going to play just this. I can turn that off here, and I can change with those two little arrows, the blue arrow here on top of my timeline. I can change what I want to hear. So now I'm playing the whole section that I want to edit, right? Regardless of what I'm dragging. This is called link timeline and edit selection. So you want to turn it off for this. Now here's another trick here. This is going pretty fast, right? So my drums. So first I'm going to not listen to my trigger. I'm listening just to the drums, right? So it's going pretty fast. Now visually I can kind of see the difference between what's a kick drum, what's a snare drum. It's kind of a slight visual difference. So to help me though, I can use the slow motion, the half speed playback, right? That's kind of the trick here. If I press shift play, then the track moves at half speed. That's going to give me more time to use my shift click to determine where are the snares that I want to get rid of. So let me click out. Let's do it together. So I'm going to shift click to start the playback. Sorry, shift spacebar to start the playback. And then I'm going to shift click to select the snares as I see them and hear them going through. Snare. Right, so this is snare, 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 tom. Right, so now I can do this again, shift spacebar. So I missed one here. I missed one here. Now you see that gives me the time to see what's happening because it's in slow motion. This is a snare that I missed. All right, now that I've selected them all, it's time to press delete. And since I was using the object grabber, only those parts are deleted. So now when I play back, I can also see now what are my hi-hats that I just want to get rid of that too. So I'm going to shift click on those little parts here. These are much easier to see that they are the hi-hat. And you see I can even also remove after this kick release here. So let's delete this. And there's one here. I'm going to maybe even delete this. So now I'm getting much closer. Oh, see, now I made a mistake here. I deleted a kick. Well, I can copy, go down, paste it back here, right? So there you go. Right, so now I can open my trigger and verify that it's triggering only those kicks. Click, click. Right, so now I have my I have my trigger adding those pointy clicks. And I know that it's only going to trigger the kicks because I removed everything else. Now, the thing, if I wanted to do something similar with the snares, right? I could maybe use, let's see if I can use my, the kicks that I moved here, right? As a stencil. I like to see it as a stencil. So let me show you what I mean. If I were to, I'm going to import actually one of my templates, snare trigger track here, right? So this is my Black Beauty trigger track. I'm going to make that active. So I can select my original drums. Let me do a copy, go down, paste. That works. All right, so now on my beauty snare, my trigger, right? So let's take a look at my trigger here. I have a snare. Oh, I don't hear it because it's not assigned to the right output. Doing this live, people. Right, so this is a snare. Now, if I trigger it, I'm going to mute my original track. Great. All right, so everything triggers that snare. Well, I have an easy way though. I mean, mostly it's the kick and snare, not the little hi-hat because they're too low to actually trigger it. Now, I have done half of the work here, or a lot of the work. If I use my object grabber and lasso my kicks here, I can now Control Option drag them up to my track. Now that they're here, that means if I press delete, I'm going to make the corresponding holes in my snare track. So now that I know that that snare track doesn't have any kicks anymore in it. And now you can see, now at the end though, I know that the very last beat is I can use my tab to transient to separate this. I know it's a tom. So now we can verify that. We could even verify it slow motion. There you go. There you have it. I can clean up those little hi-hats if I want. Now I know that I have a kick and a snare trigger. That are clean. All right. So to recap, we duplicate the audio. We use our separate at transient, right, on our trigger track. And then we use the slow motion, the half speed playback, in conjunction with the object grabber to select the pieces we want to remove. Now, if we've done the work on one of the tracks, like the snare or the kick, we can then use those objects that are remaining as a stencil to go remove, stem them out of another trigger track that gives us some clean trigger. I hope this is helpful. It's a bit geeky, but I find it not an easy way. It's not easy, but it's a way to really make sure that your tracks are going to have clean triggers. Thanks for watching.